Have your attention, please. Dear most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today in a humble way, and we just thank you for your mercy and grace. We just thank you for protection. We thank you for the leadership of our tribe. We thank you for the opportunity to take care of the business of our people, dear Lord. Guide and lead us in our decisions making. Be with us, dear Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Well done.
Thank you. Roll call, Shelley. Yes, ma'am. Denise Taylor. Here. Joe Deere.
Aye.
Keith Austin.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Joe Bird.
Honey.
Julia Cope.
Here.
Sean Crittenden. Mike Dobbins.
Here.
Kevin Duffy.
Aye.
Rex Jordan.
Here.
Darrell Legg.
Here.
Wes Snowbar.
Aye.
Dory Petchkowski.
Here.
Mike Shamrock. Barry Bakershaw.
Bonnie.
Leo Smith.
Here.
Victoria Vasquez.
Bonnie.
We have a quorum. Okay, Joe Deere, would you approve the minutes of both the PAC and the regular session, please?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular session on the pack. Put that form.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to approve the minutes from September 24th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, that brings us down to reports. C&B is in the middle of their year-end close, and so their financial reports were not ready for this meeting. So I've asked Chuck to do an update on some of the other things that are going on at C&B, and then we'll catch up with financials next time. Chuck Garrett, are you there?
And I hope my audio is working fine. My video doesn't seem to want to cooperate, so I apologize for that.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, super. Well, as you mentioned, because we are in our year-end close, our financial statements won't be ready until early next week. So I apologize for that. That is sort of the annual disconnect between the timing of the committee meetings and our accounting year-end. But I thought that it might be helpful to provide a general update as we have a lot of moving parts right now. And I'll just start with on our gaming and hospitality business. I heard earlier in the Rules Committee the AG sharing that the appeal by the state of Oklahoma was not going to occur, and that matter was put to rest. Of course, that's a significant event for us, and I would like to just publicly thank not only the AG and her staff, but all of you that contributed to that win. It's a very significant event for us, and glad that's behind us. Regarding C&E, we continue to refine our responsible hospitality program. Of course, that's been the program that's been our guiding principles throughout the recovery from our shutdown from March through June. And there are different pieces to that program that we're loosening and some we're tightening in terms of just operational changes that we are implementing. First and foremost are some increased hours, especially at our resort properties. We're extending those hours from Monday through Thursday from 8 to 2 in the morning and 8 to 3 at the Hard Rock. And we'll be 24 hours at those properties on Thursday through Sunday. We're also increasing our hotel room availability from 50% to 75%. Of course, we have installed slot partitions, which have allowed us to increase our gaming availability to nearly 100%. From the initial return, we were, every 3 games, depending on where where we were, the distancing that was being encouraged required us to shut down a significant number of our games, over 50%. And now that we have the partitions in place, we're back nearly to 100%. Some other things that you might have been seeing just in the marketplace is some of the promotions and the marketing that we have done. Initially, when we were returning to operations, we were reluctant to spend heavily on promotions and marketing, not knowing whether that would in fact pay off, not knowing whether, given our occupancy limitations, that would be productive. But we're seeing now that we're able to go ahead and start marketing and promoting more aggressively, and we're seeing some good results in turn. I think when you do see your financials early next week, you will see that virtually every property continues to increase their top line and their bottom line, and we're obviously very grateful for that. We've been conducting some focus groups to really understand what our customers are concerned about now, and of course the pandemic continues to be the #1 focus. We've maintained our masking policy. We still think that's the right thing to do. Certainly our competitors in the Tulsa market that have been less strict have picked up some business from us, although we also feel like long term that will be rewarded. We're maintaining a non-smoking policy. That's very that is a new approach for casinos, not only in Oklahoma but across the country, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback, frankly, from our focus groups on that. Even smokers prefer to be in non-smoking environments, except when they're smoking, and we're trying to walk that fine line and think we'll maintain that for some time to come at least. Regarding our federal contracting businesses, I mentioned during our last meeting that we had set a record for our contract wins in September. We're excited about that. It's given us plenty to do on that side of our business, but it has really been a reassurance and re-emphasize the importance of us continuing to diversify our businesses this year as a result of COVID. So again, I think, let me just pause there, and I'm kind of throwing a lot at you, and try to answer questions you might have. Be happy to elaborate on any of the points that I shared.
Counselor Dobbins?
Chuck, this is Counselor Dobbins.
Yes, sir.
I saw where the Chickasaws announced 2 new gaming properties, one in Ardmore and one in Kingston. Do you still see gaming expansion within the borders of Oklahoma still a possibility? The other tribes, do you sense that they're going to continue to expand in Oklahoma?
Great question, and we worry about that all the time. And I think the days of large venues are probably behind us in Oklahoma in terms of new venues. What I do think we may see more of, especially in light of McGirt and some of the other regulatory shifts that may make it less burdensome to open a facility. I think what you may see are smaller venues, more niche-y slot parlors parlor type formats that fit a certain submarket that you don't require big investments, big capital investments, but yet serve some of the local market. So I think it'll be real niche. When you look around, you look at Enid, you look at some of the other, some of the larger markets that don't have gaming, and they're far and few between. So, what I would expect is you'll see some of the larger tribes seek commercial gaming opportunities outside of Oklahoma to build on the infrastructure they've got. That sort of operating fixed cost that they have, they can start to drive some pretty attractive returns by expanding into other markets outside of Oklahoma.
Thank you, Chuck.
Yes, sir. And keep an eye on Texas, by the way, especially with the chicks. We'll see how that goes.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor Newcomb.
Where are we standing on the Arkansas venture? I know we put a lot of effort, a lot of money. It doesn't seem like we're winning on that idea of gambling over there and getting a casino open.
Well, I would, first of all, as you know, we're in the midst of several court cases right now, so it's a little bit tricky for me to comment too much on an active case here, but I can tell you that if we had to do it all over again, I would recommend the same decision. There's a big market to be captured. There's also our current venues to be protected. So I think both from an offensive play and also a defensive play, I think it was the right thing to do. And without getting into the details of the court cases, I can just share with you that I feel really good about our potential of winning that license when the dust settles.
Okay, it's just, it's a concern of mine how much time we spent and money we've employed over there when there's other opportunities back here at home in which we could be putting Cherokees to work, which we can't do in Arkansas, in which we can actually build some more positive businesses than casinos, which have a hurt to our health, a hurt to our citizens financially, but not just create a wealth for the business, but a wealth for the community. I understand the financial gains of casinos, but also understand the negative consequences of having casinos in some of our smaller rural areas. And so, at some point, I don't know, I mean, we had a bunch of board appointments. I guess I could have asked them. Of course, we were arguing some other things earlier today on how we can get to re-look at some things and maybe do some more positive businesses other than just casinos. I know we have other entities under CMB umbrella, but the seemingly most important thing that we're focused on is the casino investments, and there are plenty of opportunities within our jurisdiction for beautiful hotels and resorts on the lake. The state is in a very financial struggle situation to where they're now having to charge just to go inside a state park. Well, we could go work with those state agencies and request getting those leases. I know one in particular in my district, Cookson Game Refuge, it's a state park, and we could go inside there along with Cherokee Landing State Park on the lake and start to try to build jobs for our rural area Indians without having to drive into the city and work in a casino, and create a more positive outdoor life atmosphere for those individuals. And I just don't know what it would take to start looking at those kinds of investments, or who to speak with to start furthering that dialogue. I know I spoke to a few state representatives that have encouraged me to reach back out to them and inquire about leasing out those properties, or how we could work a deal out getting, acquiring those parks that they can't financially take care of themselves.
Right. Well, there's a lot there, but I will tell you that you raised some really good points in the sense that, we have a very broad mission. And not only is our mission include generating profits so that the council and the administration have funds to put towards programs that are much needed, but it also, of course, economic development, and that comes in the form of job creation. It comes in the form of building the infrastructure that's necessary for non-C&D businesses, for that matter, to come in and generate jobs and create that economic foundation that you're talking about. And that's something that we have tried to spend a lot of time doing. And I know from the outside looking in, perhaps it doesn't look like we evaluate a wide range of opportunities, but in fact we do, and that is something that we're constantly doing and trying to balance that investment of time and money that you refer to for businesses that have high return on your capital or a high return to the local economy, and that's a balancing act, and we're trying to do that. I think there's been several expansions, and some of which I'm subject to NDAs on, but local businesses that we've assisted either through building some sort of direct contribution or through Ms. Kelly's career services department that we've partnered together to create those jobs. So, I mean, you're right in the sense that there's that balance that we have to achieve, and so we'll continue to do that. And any suggestions you've got, I'm more than happy to sit down and
Just a follow-up question on, do we have any contacts, or we have any, have we attempted to make any contacts with some of the, just because of how they go about investing too, but with the Walton Foundation, since they are bringing in the water park over in Watts, because they were able to jump through some hoops, like getting the Illinois River, which is a scenic river, they were able to place a dam on there with the United States Corps of Engineers and get a waiver to do that, which some of our lakes have restrictions that we might be able to surpass if we're looking at doing some similar things. So I know they have a pretty good infrastructure of how their investments are managed for local areas, and so I didn't know if we had someone we could maybe reach out to, or just suggest maybe we might reach out to them in the future.
We've had some discussions with them in the past, and I for one am very excited about what they're doing there in Watson, just around Lake Francis and that area. And I think we'll see some jobs being created there. But yeah, I mean, I think as we'll see how McGirt plays out in terms of regulatory issues, but we try to have conversation with the stakeholders at private, non-private, public stakeholders, both throughout the reservation. And you're citing a really interesting one, because I was just reading the New York, or the Tulsa World today, that about the jobs that we're anticipating there, and those sorts of economic development opportunities we seek out. And so anytime that any of the council or administration has knowledge of that, we would love to follow up directly with the other parties.
Great. Well, I definitely have a few that we could discuss further on far as getting some possible lease contracts back from the state on some parks and open up some Corps Engineers land, just much like what they did here on Tinkular Lake, and put some rural jobs out there and create a real about a 700-acre resort, kind of is my idea. But that's just my idea. I'm not a businessman whatsoever, so it'd definitely be interesting to have a future conversation with you guys. So, but I definitely appreciate the conversation today, and appreciate all the work you do. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, thanks, sir.
Mr. Shambaugh?
I don't so much have questions as a couple of comments. For one, as a councilman, I'd like to say thank you for what, and I appreciate what our casinos have done for us throughout the years. We've had good leadership in our casinos, and if you really want to think about why we are at where we are now, it's because of the money from our casinos in the past that has generally funded everything in the Cherokee Nation that we've wanted to do as far as our programs. The majority has come from our casinos. I don't think anybody could have seen COVID coming, and that was a big hit, but I think it was very pertinent to us and I hate to call it cash cow because it was in the past, but anytime we're able to give back something to an entity that has helped this nation so greatly in the past, I'm for that 100%. Anything we could do to help the casinos, help stay on their feet is very important to our nation. I think that, I understand that it might be a 49% casinos versus businesses on how we fund things, but also the profits from our businesses are not as high as what they are for casinos. So I think a big thank you needs to be said to our casinos for us to be able to do what we have been able to do in this pandemic and keep our heads above water. I think it's been good leadership. I think and what we can do to help you guys out, I think we've done that, and I just want to say thank you, because without you, where would we have been without you?
Well, that's very kind, and I appreciate those comments for sure. It's one of those balancing acts, and you're right. This was obviously very unforeseen, and it was fortunate that we were able to reimburse some of the COVID-related expenses. So we're grateful for that, and we are not going to be resting on our staying on our heels. Though we're looking for ways to increase our profitability so that that money can be put to good use. So thank you for that.
Okay, if nobody has any further questions, I'm going to cut Chuck loose. Is everybody good?
Good.
Okay, thanks, Chuck.
Sorry
We appreciate
for
you.
the
We'll
video.
see you in a couple weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Next up is Treasurer Scott. Are you there?
I am. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
I can see you.
Oh, we can see you too.
Yeah. So you guys have my report in front of you. It's for the month ending of August 30th, or August 31st, excuse me, 2020. We continue to do the normal day-to-day business of the nation, and in addition to that, keep pushing forward on the CRF funding. We've put in a lot of work over the last couple months, especially with the large programs that we've set up with the elderly assistance and the education tech grants and stuff like that. So we have been quite busy. And I'll say, in addition to that, it was talked about in the previous meeting, but looking for funding sources for the McGirt, or I should say for the results that will be following the McGirt decision about the increased need in the Marshal Service and HED in the courts. So with that, I will stop there and see if there's any questions for me.
Does anybody have any questions for the treasurer? Go ahead, Councilor No Fire.
Back in July, I put a FOIA request out over the CARES Act money that we sent to C&B. I had a pretty detailed description of what I was needing back, and only got a very small portion of it. I know those funds are tied to federal tax dollars, so there's a lot of requirement, and you've also mentioned that to the council of how we have to keep documentation of what we spent it on, and the chance that we're audited. The limited result of information I got back from the CNB's funds wouldn't be adequate for what's required from the federal government. So are they holding those and only giving them to you and you're holding them, or are they just holding them period unless they're requested by the federal government on where they're being, on all those sub-grants that they have? 'Cause that's what they got the money from, the sub-grants.
No, I have all the backup documentation that they submit when they request a reimbursement for their COVID expenses each month.
And since they're federal tax dollars, they'd be subject to FOIA requests, which is what I was denied when I requested those funds. So I don't know how to go about looking at the rest of those funds whenever.
So the portion that you were declined on was the actual financial statements of CNB, and in that FOIA I explained that just like the monthly financial packets, that those are confidential because they contain proprietary information and competitive information of the businesses. You're welcome to see them under a GRA, but I couldn't give them to you under a FOIA because we can't release that to the general public. Our competitors would take that information and take it back into overhead rates and all kinds of stuff, and it would be harmful for the businesses.
I understand that. I just get a little concerned that whenever that money got shifted over, my concern is it's not for me seeing it necessarily, as the concern is when the shift of the money came from the sub-grant out to CNB, if that is going to have to be GR requested from the federal government too if they want to see it. It's not something that the public taxpayers can be aware of where the money gets exchanged for or what it's being used at.
So the information that IRS usually gathers when they do any type of audit is not publicly available. So like if you get audited personally, like on your tax return, the information that they gather from you that's not publicly available information, they hold that confidential.
Okay, I just know this was tax money and not taxes that we're filing, so there's kind of a separation there. So all right, just trying to get some clarification on that. Appreciate it, Chair.
Counselor Deere?
Hey Trey, I've had a couple of questions from some community organizations. They have a form that says on there, they're confused on some of them that got the grant money, whether they need to have an audit ran on them, or the paperwork was confusing. And so I told them to send it and what they got, whether it is on email with the receipts, or if they don't have that capability, to just mail in the receipts with that paperwork.
Yeah, so I agree. The whole thing is kind of confusing, and it doesn't help that Treasury keeps moving the goalposts on us, but they're constantly updating of the frequently asked questions and stuff. But the portion that I think you're referring to with regard to the audit is referring to what we call the single audit. So if an entity receives over $750,000 of federal funding per year, they have to do an audit, a very specific audit on that federal funding source or sources combined as a cumulative amount. So if I can't think of any CCO organization that we've given more than $750,000 to, so long as they weren't getting additional federal funding sources from other places, other sub-grants, then they shouldn't be subject to that.
Yeah, and there was that check mark on there that said less than 750, and I basically said, advise them to go ahead and mark that and send it in with what you got, and I'm sure, because I said Trey Leno will get you if it's not right. So basically I told them that. I said, we're not ordering forensic audits by no means, so. And we're not doing an end-of-month audit for anything else. So you might get some stuff that comes in the mail, and it might be an email. So just be advised that that's going to be coming from some of those organizations.
Okay, perfect. Well, we will need their receipts and stuff anyway, because we do have the sub-recipient monitoring requirement. So when we give, so the regulations and the rules that surround the way we can spend the CRF money follows the dollar. So when we give it to another entity or organization, as the prime recipient, Cherokee Nation as the prime recipient has to do sub-recipient monitoring on that entity to make sure that the way they're using the fund is compliant with the statute and the regulations and everything. So, we'll need those receipts anyway from them for our own sub-recipient monitoring purposes.
Yeah, that's what I told them.
That's
I
not
said, if
full
there's-
like official audit though.
Yeah, I told them if there's any doubt, just send in everything you've got. Because, they're not accountants by no means. Most of their treasurers are volunteers anyway. So that's what I would advise them, just to send that in. So if you get something wrong and come from my district, then that'd be my fault. But I just told them send everything to you and go from there.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, are those all the questions for our treasurer? All right, Trey, go back to your rat killing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See you next time. Diane Kelly's up next.
Can you hear me, Madam Chair?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Very good, very good. Well, we're almost at the end of October, and I just want to wish everybody a happy Halloween, because I know that I'll be out trick-or-treating at your house, virtually. So, we've had a very busy month. We've been rolling out grants. Josh Garwater and John Crittenton, Brenda Fitzgerald, and James Ballard are all working on the disability crisis checks. They started Monday. They worked with the Chief of Staff, Todd Illo, in coming up with process procedures. As of Monday, according to the report, they had 1,300 applications that were ran through the system on Monday. And I don't know exactly what their number is today, but I do know that they're coming in. We've had a lot of phone calls. The deadline for the disability checks will be next Friday. I believe the deadline is the 6th, next Friday. And so far, they haven't had very many glitches. Todd Ford and his people have been working with them as far as the computer, the scanning, whatever they needed. There's been a lot of questions. People saying, well, will I qualify if I had disabilities and I got my Social Security as a result of it? So all they're having to do is produce the records for that. And the checks will be $300. And they'll go out probably sometime around the first part of December. We have to get in line with the other checks that are still going out. So anyway, the deadline will be next Friday. So if you have any questions, you can get a hold of John Crittenton, James Ballard, or Josh Drywater for Brenda Fitzgerald. And then they have people in the office here that are answering questions with, like, I think, 3 or 4 different phone lines. We are working on one of the...
Let me stop you right there. Counselor Crittenden would like to speak to that specifically.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Hey, while we're on that, do they have to have an email address, Diane, the disabled? I've got a few, and I've got someone looking at that, good folks, but I thought since we were talking about it, got a lady says she knows 3 disabled, but they don't have internet or email. Will the application let them apply without filling in the email address?
Yeah, all they'll need to do is call in, and John or Brenda or James then will get back with them. We'll figure out a way to get the information.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, Diane, just a minute. Chief of Staff wants to address this.
I just looked online. I will confirm that you do not have to have an email address associated with it. We would like to have it if possible, in case we have questions or further feedback, but it's not a requirement. And as of right now, there's 1,651
Awesome.
applications.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, go ahead with your spiel.
Okay. Anyway, Matt Lamont got 4 reentry grants through the Department of Justice. The visit that we had with the General Bill Barr, the day he was here was when we got notification that those grants were coming in, and then we got notification the day after. This is the first time we've ever got this many Department of Justice grants. We got one 2 years ago. Matt's very excited. It is our intention to have a re-entry counselor in every one of our field offices once the last grant gets here. So we're kind of excited. Chief Hoskins released a press release regarding the Department of Justice grant. It came out on October the 6th, and it basically told a little bit about the funding level. We were in competition with state, and we were the only tribal government that got the reentry grant. So when we write these, we're having to compete with the state. And the Department of Labor grants that we wrote, we were in competition with the state of Oklahoma. And whenever it came out, it said Oklahoma, but it was actually Cherokee Nation. So we're very fortunate that we have a good rapport with several of these funding agencies. Treasurer Scott was on there, and she talked about our audit. And that right there is one of the reasons why we do so well on our grants, is because we've already got a track record, and our audits are good, our reviews are good. So when you have those things looked at whenever we submit these grants, that's why we're successful in getting them. And I just have to commend the directors that I've got in my department. They're good writers, and I can't ask for any more from them than what they do. But this pandemic kind of helped us a little bit because we were all confined to our houses, and we were all collaborating by phone to get those grants out there. So I think that may be one of the reasons why we got so many, because we were on the phone back and forth every day. We've got a tarot banquet that's going to be virtual this year. We had hoped to, it's in my report that says that we hope to have this out by November the 5th. That may have to be moved back a little bit. We're still working on getting some information from the award winners, and we don't want to slide any of them. And some of them said it would take them a little while to get the pictures and so on and so forth. So it will come out sometime the first part of November. It'll be before Thanksgiving, but it may not be November the 5th. We've got awards similar to the awards that we gave last year. We have been giving checks to the elder care, which is the PACE facility for Christmas. And we took the proceeds from our golf tournament last year and the year before, and we presented them with a check. Barney told me that several of the businesses who participate in our golf tournament, since we're not having one this year, they wanted to give some donations, and I think they're going to give Barney some donations. So we're still going to be able to give the elder care a check of some sort, but we don't know exactly how much. But we will do that during the Christmas holiday. So they will get something out of the PACE Center. Tribal economic development, you have some information in the report about career fairs we did. Up north, we had a couple of the areas that were Grove and I think Miami that wanted to do some recruitment fairs for some of the businesses. And so we've been Langley, we've been Delaware County, Craig County, and we had some virtual drive-by type recruitment fairs, and I think it was very successful. The first one didn't go off as well, but the other two did. And this is kind of what we're going to start doing, is working on a regional perspective so that we've got more people that can pull from. So if you've got a business that's sitting in one county and you're on the edge of that county, it might be that you can pull from these other counties. So that's something that a group of us are trying to do. I think it behooves us to get real creative, especially when you have some obstacles. And with the pandemic, we created a lot of obstacles for us. But we are still rolling stuff out, and some we're doing better. We had a ribbon cutting in Stillwell for the Wingfield Crossing Work Project, which is an annex road from the Walmart, and Chief Hoskin and Deputy Chief Warner was there along with other dignitaries from the town, and with Councilman Dustin was there. This was a project that was put together by Sheldon Legato, who is on contract with the city in economic development, and our Commerce Department. Anna Knight and her group worked with Sheldon, and is a really good writer, and she was very successful in helping to get USDA money, and then the city put the match with it. So Cherokee Nation has left its mark there. And then that following week, we were down in Sallisaw, and Deputy Chief Warner and Speaker Byrd, former Deputy Chief, and Veteran Secretary Joe Princeton, and Councilman Darrell Legg, Neil Smith, myself, and some of my staff were down there for the groundbreaking for the new Veteran Plaza that's going to be built there in 40 acres of land there in Sallisaw. It's a project that we've worked on for probably about 2.5 to 3 years, and I have to commend some of the people that have worked on it. Buddy Spencer, who is the chairman of the Economic Development Authority, he's up in the 90s, and he also owns the Blue Ribbon Chevrolet there in Sallisaw. He's worked with Cherokee Nation on a lot of projects there in Sallisaw over the last 30 to 40 years, and we recognize him for his efforts because this is something that's very dear to him, being a veteran, and he worked very hard diligently on this project. And you can see the pictures with Buddy and the award that was presented to him that day. Our summer youth participants and the award winners, and then our counselors who worked on the summer youth, which was a challenge for them because we didn't get summer youth started for almost a month later. And we have extended some of the participants, and they will go on up through December. And depending on other funds that are available, some of them probably they're a little bit longer if they're in college or if they're seniors in high school. They're working on that 2 hours in the afternoon, which is probably about 10 hours a week, but it's helping them out a little bit. Some of the schools. But we've had a very exciting month. Our Cherokee Career Readiness has been booming. We've had night classes going on and buildings trade, business tech, and our HVAC, and we've just had a lot of people coming in wanting help, people that were affected by the pandemic. We've been able to help them with training, help them get their GED, or we're working with them in jobs. And we've got a lot of businesses calling us, asking us to help with recruitment, and we've just got all of our staff spread out, and I hope to be able to give you the new directory of all of the staff that we have and which offices they're located. Next month, I'll probably tell you a little bit about some of our offices and some of the moves that are going to take place in Adair County, Craig County, and in Mays County. So, you don't have any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Diane? She's pretty thorough. You have something to say, Speaker?
Pretty
I make a
thorough from
motion
here.
that we created our career service committee.
Well,
Just have our own separate career service.
if she wasn't doing anything, it wouldn't take her so long to report.
That's right.
So let's not falter there. I just have to say I am amazed every year at the growth and the expansion of the reentry program. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys have just killed it. Daryl's sitting here, and I just think good thoughts every time because that truly is a second chance. And you guys took a very small investment, and I mean, look where you are now. It really is amazing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Councilor
We
Crittenden.
appreciate all the support we get.
Go, Sean.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Diane, I forgot, now what community do you live in, Diane?
What? I slipped down the road from you, Sean.
Oh, Peavine?
He wants to hear you say Peavine.
Thank you.
All those Peavine-ites are hard workers, right, Sean?
Hey,
Okay, did you have
I
something
can't,
else?
what cyclist just went down the road too.
Okay, appreciate you, Diane. We're going to, can we go ahead and do that tarot question now? Okay, we're going to go ahead and address that tarot issue now. A little bit out of order. Do we have Willard and Deborah on there?
Yes, they're on here. How's it going, Taylor? Hi, I'm here.
Okay, let me bring the council up to speed on this. I had a question and I discussed it with our attorney and also with Speaker Byrd. It's on page 2 of the tarot certifications. It's a new business. It is the first one at the top, this Iva All Solutions LLC. And my question was, that business is 55% owned, which is majority owned by the Santa Rosa Cholula Corporation, as the Santa Rosa Band of Cholula Indians. And our question was, is this like our Cherokee Nation business that is wholly owned by the Cherokee Nation, or is this more like the Alaska Native corporations?
So this business, when we reviewed the application, we confirmed that the Santa Rosa Band of Cholula Indians are the majority owner of this through their corporation taxes. So it is similar to what the Cherokee Nation businesses have done.
Tim, are you copacetic with that?
Well, my question is what percent? Because we're giving it credit for 55% Indian owned, but is it really, if it's only 51% Indian, I mean, what percent of the corporation is owned? It's a wholly owned corporation versus a partially owned corporation.
Okay, so the Santa Rosa Cholula Corporation, is that fully owned by that tribe?
Yes.
Okay, well then it's 55%.
You good? Okay, that was the only question we had. I appreciate you being on here, Deborah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. So, committee members, now we're going to go back and pick up Anna Knight's report. Anna or Shay, is somebody there from Commerce?
Yes, I'm here.
Would that be Shay? Okay, Shay. Very good.
Yes. Hi, thanks for having me today. You have a copy of our report, and I'll just follow up with what Diane talked about on the Wheatfield Crossing. That project just wrapped up in Adair County. We're getting ready to start a similar project in Jay, in their industrial park. They're getting ready to construct an access road there to increase economic development in Delaware County. And other than that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
You did good.
Everybody good? Okay, I think we're all good, Shay. Thanks for hanging on while we took care of stuff.
All right.
Appreciate you. Okay, that brings us down to our consent items. The first one was those tarot certifications. I only had questions on that one. JD, you want to introduce those for me?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the certifications, put that form up.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on the tarot certifications. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, we got a new community assistance sheet. Shambo, would you take care of that?
I need to make some additions.
Oh, okay.
I think Councilor Legg had added a couple that didn't make the list, but need to be added. That's Sequoia County Cancer Support for $500, Salisaw Public Schools for $1,000, and Councilor Buzzard has a list that needs to be added. $750 for Heavenly Angel House Incorporated, $500 Ribbon Baptist Church, $500 Soul Harbor Ministry, $500 Crossroads Church, $800 Uchi Indian Organization, $550 Pine Ridge Baptist Church, $500 Hillside Baptist Church, $500 J Chamber of Commerce, $500 Delaware County Community Partnership, $750 Grand Lake Community Ministry, $500 Kuya Baptist Church. I hope I pronounced that right. So.
Well, yeah. It means huckleberry.
You're good.
Is that all?
That's it.
Okay, Councilor Crittenden, got something to add?
Yeah, Joey, I'm sorry, I got a few. 2000 Marietta School.
Okay.
1500 Stillwell Elementary for a handicap swing. Can you note that on the
Yes.
text up so they'll know?
Yeah, handicap swing.
2000 Westfield School. 2000 Delaney School. the loan guy.
Okay.
2,000 Bell School. And you'll split these last two up. Jody, 1,500 to Peavine Indian Heritage. Well, Peavine School will just make a note Indian Heritage if you would. And then 2,000 Peavine. Put Christmas fund on that one if you don't mind.
Even Christmas fund.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
You're welcome. Okay, is everybody else good until next month? All right, I've got a motion and a second, or did you?
Make a motion to
Thank you.
approve community assistance items.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to, for community assistance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, there was a new law enforcement distribution sheet given. Counselor Dora, would you take that?
Yes, this is the FY 2021 detail of law enforcement funds, and I put that into a form of a motion.
Got a motion and a second for the law enforcement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Roads is gonna be next. Did everybody look over their balances?
I need to make some additions to the roads.
Okay,
For Counselor Byrd and Counselor No Fire, both of them are doing $22,500 out of motor fuel tax toward Park Hill Road.
okay. Excuse me, 21-ish, 18. There's several pages. I think it starts on 16. We'll wait while Counselor Shambo gets there. It's behind the consent tab. There you go.
You do have Oaks Mission School, Oaks Fire Department Roads Phase 2.
I got it.
Good?
Okay, you got there?
Good.
You got several on there.
Yep, thanks, sir.
Would you introduce it, please?
Yes, I make a motion that we approve our roads items.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on the roads donations. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, Jody, do I understand there are no new sports teams?
Correct.
Okay. And looks like there's a couple of livestock. Rex, would you take those?
Sure. Livestock premium show applications, I put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second on the livestock donation, or balances. All those in favor? Any opposition? Okay, that one carries. And then on your special projects, it looks like that's just wrapping up what we had, and I don't think we need consent on those. So let's move on down to new business. Daryl Legg, would you take the first act? Okay, JD, go ahead.
This is an act amending legislative act 16-20 authorizing the comprehensive capital budget for fiscal year 2021, Mod 1, and declaring emergency. I put that in form of a motion.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on that Jody could answer? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Are you there, Daryl? You do the second one then.
All right. This is an act amending legislative act 17-20 authorizing comprehensive operating budget for fiscal years 2021, Mod 1, and declaring an emergency, and I'll put that in form of motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on this budget mod. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? And I will say, when you're working on the iPad, it does take a little bit longer to get there if someone catches you off guard. So I shouldn't have done that to Daryl. Okay. I know it. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, November 17th at noon. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor? We are adjourned.
Thank you.